Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, September 7th, 2019. This is episode 1624. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Epson's Eco Tank printers. Kiss expensive ink cartridges goodbye. Add an Epson Eco Tank printer to your home or office. Eco Tank comes with a ridiculous amount of ink. You just fill and chill. Check out Epson.com/EcoTankLeo to learn more. And by LastPass, a personal password manager and identity solution for businesses all in one. You only need one master password, and LastPass remembers the rest. Visit LastPass.com/twit to learn more. And by Helm. Take back your email, files, and photos and own your own data with Helm, a secure personal server that enables you to own your online identity. Go to thehelm.com/techguy and save $50 off the Helm personal server. Oh, hi. How are you? Good to see you. Hello. Hey, as they say. Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, all that jazz. It's time, yeah. This is our tech show for the week. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you'd like to talk high tech. Yes, it's time. 8888 Ask Leo. Tuesday. Apple will announce its new iPhone or something. You know, it's funny. Technically, we don't even know what Apple's going to announce. Technically. Apple doesn't say, and it's a secret. But, you know, I think it's pretty clear since they did an iPhone event exactly this time last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. It's probably a new iPhone. Probably a new iPhone 11. So if they announce it Tuesday, typically what they do is they let you order it Friday. So they're announcing it September 10th. And then 11, 12, 13. Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, you can pre-order it. And it will arrive on your doorstep. If you're one of those people who just has to have it, you can either go to the store or wait for it to ship to you. I think that's the more civilized way to do it. And it will arrive, usually this is, unless they do something different, Friday the 20th. So don't buy an iPhone today, I guess is the rule. There will be people that do that. I have to have a phone. But, you know, when the new iPhones come out, that usually means the old ones get reduced somewhat in price. Plus, you want to see what they do, right? You want to see what they've got to show. The 11 will theoretically, according to leaks, have 3 cameras on the back. Apple does very good camera software, very good video too, and so I expect something really good there. Nothing else different, really, that I can think of. No, it looks a little different. Apple used to have this TikTok cycle where one year they'd release brand new designs, and then the next year they'd release a refinement of those new designs, and that was the S model. But remember, last year was the 10S. That was pretty much the same as the 10, the 10S and the 10S Max. So this year, well, probably the 11, but will it be that different? Probably not. There's not much you can do that's that different. There are rumors that next year Apple's iPhones will look a lot different with in-screen fingerprints and maybe a 5G support and all that stuff. But this year, if you're happy with your phone, and this has always been the advice for the last few years, there's not really enough to make you run out the door. So I'm going to bring it up. Got to bring it up. It's coming. I'll talk about it next week, and I'll have one. Yeah, because I have to order one. I'll get one. I'll get the biggest one. Supposedly, we'll see. There are people who are really serious about this who even like get up on Tuesday morning, and it's like a national holiday, and they watch the event. There's some people who go. I have a friend, Lori Gill, who doesn't have an invitation to the event, but will sit outside. I kid you not. She is a tech journalist, so it's her job, but still, she will sit outside the event I can't bring myself to do that. And we'll write for food, anything. So she's going to do that. And, okay. I guess she'll hear about it as people filter out the door. Apple is going to stream it on YouTube for the first time ever on Google's platform. Well, you go where the viewers are. So you can watch at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. If you really care, you can. People do that. Lots of people do. I do. The days of it being like, wow, amazing. Look what Apple has done. Those days are, I think, long gone. I don't think there's that much to say. In fact, Apple kind of got on some people's nerves this week. You may remember last week I talked about Google. Google revealed that last February, Apple had a serious security breach on its iPhone that was used to target, well, Google didn't say, Apple's now said the Uyghur Muslim minority in China. And this is the kind of attack that a nation state has to do because it's so expensive. They daisy chain these 0 days. And, Google didn't say who was attacked, but they said, this is a minority group. They called it an en masse attack, and that's really Apple took umbrage. They said, well, that just scares everybody. It doesn't mean everybody was attacked, only this minority. Well, yeah, but anybody who went to one of 8 websites that had this flaw in it without knowing, without any intervention on their part, their iPhone would be hacked. So, nobody's stopping you from going to that site. Maybe you're not interested in the site, but they were public sites, and people went there would get hacked kind of automatically. iPhone, I think it started with the iPhone 10 through iPhone 12, the most recent iPhone. Google called it a watering hole attack. A watering hole attack. And Apple said, well, no. First, I think Apple didn't. This was not their shining hour. First, the sophisticated attack was narrowly focused, not a broad-based exploit of iPhones en masse as described. Well, yeah, it was on 8 websites. Oh, I'm sorry. The attack, Apple says, fewer than a dozen websites that focused on content related to the Uyghur community. Yeah, but a high school kid in Peoria who's doing research on that might well have gone to that site. It was anybody on the net could go there. Google's post issued 6 months after iOS patches, Apple huffs on, were released. Creates a false impression of mass exploitation to monitor the private activities of entire populations in real time, stoking fear among all iPhone users their devices had been compromised. This was never the case. Well, okay. So I guess that it is true, and I think I was pretty clear about this when I talked about it, that it didn't attack everybody. It was attacking a minority. TechCrunch pretty quickly figured out that it was the Uyghur Muslim minority in China. But that was the target. Doesn't mean that attack didn't hit other people as well. We don't know. So anyway, I think Apple probably wanted to make sure that people understood that their iPhones aren't generally at risk, that it takes the resources of a nation state like China and some really targeted individuals to make the iPhone insecure. Yeah, that's right. But it's possible. So that's the point, I guess. That's the point. This is an interesting story. I'm not sure I like this so much. The Department of Homeland Security is asking Apple and Google to hand over the names, phone numbers, and other identifying data of 10,000 or more people who downloaded an app from the App Store, Apple and Google. The DOJ filed a court order on September 5th. They want information of users of a tool called Obsidian 4. It's a tool used to control rifle scopes made by night vision specialist American Technologies Network. You'd have to have one of these scopes to use this app. It allows gun owners to get a live stream, take video, and calibrate their scope from their Android or iPhone device. Actually, there are 10,000 downloads on Google Play. Apple doesn't reveal, so we don't know how many from Apple. So crimes are being investigated, I gather. Okay, fine. But everybody who downloaded this app, everybody will now have their information handed over. That's a problem. A dangerous precedent, says Privacy International's state surveillance program, and scoop up a huge amount of innocent people's personal data. That's the term that's used is phishing expedition. And apparently that's what this is. So I'm hoping and I expect Apple and Google will both fight this. That's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Let's take a break. We're going to come back, take your calls, 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about the iPhones that are coming. You know, there's a new Google phone coming too, probably next month. Of course there is. 8888 Ask Leo. Easy to remember. The website, techguylabs.com. That's free, easy to use. And we are going to get to the phones right after this. Well, let's see. Let's see who's in studio today. My goodness. It's a blast from the past. It's Heather Hummin, the phone ranger. Hello, HH.
Hey there.
I guess Schaffer decided to stay in Bali, huh?
She fell in love with a monkey.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, monkey love. It's a beautiful thing.
They have those cute monkey butts.
They are very adorable. So are you going to be here this weekend and she's going to be back next weekend?
Yes.
Okay. She'll be tanned, rested, and ready. They're saying
Maybe.
You look very Fleetwood Mac. You do look have that beautiful Fleetwood Mac look with the long flowing arm, sleeves.
I invite you to
Sing
look at my
Landslide.
closet. And
Stevie Nicks. Yep, in person, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Guy at work calls me Stevie.
Oh, cute.
So there's that.
You got the look. You got the look.
It's a good look to
I
have,
miss you.
think.
I'm so glad to see you back.
Oh, thanks. Miss you too.
Things going well at that other station you're working at?
Yeah.
That well, huh?
Stations come and go. No, I mean, it's going well for me personally.
That's all that matters.
Loss last week.
Yeah, the big album rock station in San Francisco, KFOG, and I know you did some stuff for them too.
Legendary.
I used to work with them, of course.
But not to be too insidery, it is rare in the industry that you get to have your swan song.
That's true. Usually they slide the check under the door. and they say,
hey, that was a good last shift. And you're like, wait, last?
Last?
What? You mean
Yeah.
I'm fired?
Oh.
So lots of...
They got to say goodbye, which is nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Heroes, those people.
Yeah, really loved that station. It is now Sports Talk.
Yes.
Because that's the future of radio, sports talk. It's the future of everything, I fear. Soon I'll be sports talk. I can talk about sport ball. I know all about it. I'm ready.
You can and you have.
Hand egg, all of that. I'm good. Just telling the boss, I can do that.
Exactly. So yeah, let's see. KNBR assumed KFOG's frequency.
Yes.
And now you
This
can
is in
hear
San
my
Francisco.
traffic reports in full FM.
Isn't that nice? Actually, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Heather, you have done it's like riding a bike, isn't it? You just get back on and you go and you know the phones and it just works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So you've been on the phones, you've been working them, as we say. Who should I start with today?
Well, we got to just dovetail off the whole iPhone thing and talk to Sandy in LA. Plus, I'm personally curious because I've about had it with this one.
It's time.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Sandy. Leo Laporte, D-Tech guy. Thank you, Heather. Hey, Sandy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey.
Hi, I'm thrilled you picked my call.
I picked you. She picked
Yes,
you.
thank you. Thank you. I need your help with my iPhone. It's unresponsive sometimes, and for example, if I'm scrolling through my emails, sometimes it'll freeze in the screen, or if I'm trying to click on an app. So my personal theory is that iPhone or Apple's trying to, put some glitches in, so I buy the new iPhone.
No, they wouldn't do that. Tell me which iPhone you have. What generation do you have? Do you know?
I have the 8 Plus.
Okay, so not that old, but, let's see. That's 3 years old, right? Because the 8 was followed by the 10, was followed by the 10S. And the new one will be coming out in a couple of weeks. So 8 Plus isn't so old that you should retire it for sure. Have you?
I agree.
If you call Apple, what they'll tell you should do now is to back it up and wipe it and restore it. And that's not a big process because the backup does back up everything, but it takes some time. Have you ever done that?
I've backed it up, and I've also put all my photos on iCloud that are the most important to me. So I've done that, but I haven't wiped it.
The key is, going into settings, into general, and erase all settings and data. And that basically puts the phone back to the way it came. And really the theory here is, you've had it for almost 4 years, and you've been writing stuff to it and erasing and writing and stuff to it and erasing. And maybe the drive needs a little refresher. But there are other things that cause touch lag besides bad drive. And the iPhones, this does happen to them. In fact, they have had batches where touch lag has been a problem, so much so that they've recalled some iPhones. Yours not one of them.
Oh, darn.
And your battery's going to start to get, it's going to, 2 or 3 years is really the limit of most of these batteries. It's not by date, it's really by number of recharges, but that's kind of about the right number of recharges. 500 typically on a battery like that. So, so
I've only had it for a year and a half, though.
How is it doing with holding
the charge? In December.
How is it doing holding the charge?
You know what? That was my second part. Is all of a sudden it's just draining really fast.
Yeah. So it is probably time for a new battery. Apple has a battery replacement program that you can bring it in. I think it's $90. You bring it to the Apple Store, and they turn it around pretty quick. You do want to back up your data before you do that. You might mention when you do that, this slowdown, and they might, who knows, they might even say, we know about that with this particular model, so let's give you a new one. They wouldn't give you a new 10 or 11. They'd give you an 8. Yeah. But still, they might do that. If you want to try fixing it, it won't fix the battery thing. That you need a new battery for, and that's pretty typical after a couple of years. But if you want to try that reset, that might help what's the other stuff that's going on. And you might, if you really want to troubleshoot it, don't install all the old apps right away. Because sometimes some apps can cause problems, usually, and not so much on the iPhone, but you never know. And so that way, if it's an app that's causing the problem, you don't install it right away and everything's working fine, then you might say, and then you install one by one, you install your apps back and it suddenly happens again. Then you go, maybe it's this app.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah. It's just kind of standard troubleshooting. I'm not giving you any magic.
Magic to me.
Try wiping it, though. That's the best thing. And Apple will give you a new battery if you don't want to get a new one. Don't feel pressured, though. I think your 8 Plus is an excellent phone. And you like the size?
Okay. I need it for my eyes. Yeah. I need the bigger phone. So.
Me too. I like a bigger phone. Some people don't, though. Yeah. And Apple is starting to move in the direction of only big phones, but they might keep making the SE or something like it. We'll have to watch and see what they announce on Tuesday.
Okay, I'll watch.
All right. Nice to talk to you. Thanks so much for calling. I appreciate it. Yeah, phones, they don't seem to last as long or work as well as they used to, do they? And I think Apple's got some quality control issues. My wife's phone her iPhone XS never worked right. Never. Scott Wilkinson, home theater guy, coming up. Hey, while we're on a little break, maybe I could talk about my Epson EcoTank printers. How about that, huh? The Tech Guy podcast also brought to you, like the radio show, by Epson's EcoTank printers. We love these EcoTanks. I have 2 of them at home. Kiss expensive ink cartridges goodbye. Epson's EcoTank wireless color all-in-one super tank printers come with a ridiculous amount of ink, enough to print thousands of pages in the box. And then when it's time to go to the store in 2021, you get another couple of years of ink. And it's easy with each future replacement bottle set, and it's easy to fill them up. These bottles are keyed, so you can't use the wrong color in the wrong slot, and they're easy to use, and they're no muss, no fuss. The nice thing is you don't have to worry about running out of ink in the middle of a job, which, of course, is always when you're going to run out of ink. Printers don't run out of ink when they're not doing anything, but at least with the EcoTank printer, you're not going to run out of ink for thousands and thousands of pages. Fewer trips to the store, less frustration for you. Epson is, I think, really looking at the customer first when they created these, and I'm just so thrilled. They want your printing experience to be stress-free and easy. And as I said, uniquely keyed auto-stop ink bottles make it easy to fill every color tank. Epson, changing the way people print. Get that compact all-in-one EcoTank printer in your home or office, and you can just fill and chill. Check out Epson.com/EcoTankLeo today to transform the way your home or office prints. Do away with out-of-ink frustration. For the best combination of ease and value, turn to the Epson EcoTank printers. Now through September 30th, get free overnight shipping when you use the promo code EcoTankLeo at checkout. That's nice for any EcoTank printer. Get it quick, just in time for school. Offer valid within the 48 contiguous states. Exclusions apply, subject to availability. Epson, EPSON, you know that. Epson's been with us since the very beginning. Epson.com/EcoTankLeo. EcoTank printers, just fill and chill. Epson, exceed your vision. And thank you, Epson, for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. Thank you for supporting the podcast by using that special address, Epson.com/EcoTankLeo. It's time for Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek. He's a contributor at TechHive.com, joins us every week to talk about audio, video, and audio. And audio. And video.
And some video.
And a little
just
video
on the side.
Thrown in. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. You know, is this a dead period now between Cedia and the new TVs and the big shootout and now nothing till CES? Is this kind of a slow time?
Well, actually, no. Cedia is next week.
Oh, Cedia is coming up.
Yeah, and in fact, next Saturday, I will be here to talk about what I see and hear at Cedia, and there should be some pretty interesting stuff.
Cedia, CEDIA.
Yep, the Custom Electronics Design and Installation Association.
So if you think about that, it sounds like it's a trade show for the guys who come in and install your TV set and set up your sound systems. And I guess
which it is.
Oh,
yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it. It's for custom installation, the custom installation or CI industry. And the show covers a lot of stuff other than displays and sound and stuff. I mean, central vacuum, security systems, a lot of IoT, Internet of Things.
That's changed. You know, boy, that's changed a lot.
Huge. And my friend Mike Heiss, who's I'm sure in the chat room, covers a lot of IoT. I focus on displays and audio, and the most important display for custom installation are projectors, right? Mm-hmm. So we're gonna see new products. We always do from Epson, JVC, Sony.
I have one of those TLC short throw projectors in the living room. You know, I decided to go for that 100-inch screen.
Yeah. The Hisense.
Hisense, I mean, not TLC. Hisense. And I really like it, but I do notice that when I go then to watch a direct view OLED screen, it's so much richer and it's almost it's a viscerally different experience watching TV on that.
That's exactly right. And it really is, because the primary reason is the projectors simply can't get as bright, not nearly.
Right.
So, you know, you have to either have a dark room or you have to have an ambient light rejecting screen.
We have both.
You have. Okay, so
but it's still not as rich.
That's right. That's right.
Is it possible to have a projector that looks like an OLED? I guess in the movie theater they do it.
Well, I mean, even in the movie, even in a Dolby Cinema, your peak brightness, the maximum amount of light that can come off the screen, is just over 100 nits. That's a unit of measure. Let's not worry about it. It's just 100 nits. OLEDs are typically in the 600-700 nit range. LCDs are in the 1,000 plus. Nit range, so they're much brighter, and they can reproduce colors, saturated colors at those greater brightnesses, and therefore the image looks much richer. Exactly, the image pops. It just doesn't with a projector. Now, on the other hand, if you want the most quote unquote cinematic experience you can get, which a lot of these custom guys would do, then you want a projector, because that's how they do it in the cinema. So, that's why CEDIA is more of a projector show and CES is more of a TV show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
are there some projectors you're looking forward to seeing that maybe do start to get you closer to direct view?
Well, actually, I just this couple days ago saw an email that a company called Wolf Cinema is going to be showing a 10,000 lumen projector.
Lumens are not nits.
No, they're not.
I never thought I'd say that in my life, but what are they? Both measurements of screen brightness, though, right?
No, they're measurements of amount of light brightness, but lumens are measured as the amount of light coming out of the projector.
Oh, I see.
Nits are the amount of light coming off the screen, and that's going to depend on the screen.
Right.
And where you measure it. If you measure straight on the screen as opposed to off axis, off the center, you're going to get very different measurements.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of screen companies talk about their what's called half gain angle, which is how far off axis can you get and still get half the brightness from being straight on axis.
Right.
So, that CEDIA is all about that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of the screen companies are there. They don't make it to CES very much, but they do make it to CEDIA. And so we're going to see Stewart Film Screen, Daylight, Seymour Screen Excellence. I mean, there's a bunch of screen companies, Sievertson, that show up at CEDIA and show their latest and greatest screens, including ambient light rejecting screens, which basically if you're watching in a room with some light and the light hits the screen and gets reflected off, and if it gets reflected into where you're looking, then it washes out the picture greatly. So an ambient light rejecting screen makes sure that any ambient light in the room gets reflected away from the viewing area.
That's
or as much of it as
the
possible.
Kind of screen this Hisense came with, right? Because it's got like a weird lensing thing because it's a short throw projector.
Right. So not only
does
it have exactly, not only does it have to reject or take ambient light from your room lights or your window or whatever and direct it away from the viewing area, but it has to have a special property that takes light coming at it from almost straight below it and reflect it back towards the viewing area, which is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. It's like a prism, yeah. It's not an easy thing to do, but a lot of these screen companies now have perfected it to the point where you can do it. You can get a variety of screens that'll do exactly that. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it really is
amazing.
I'm looking forward to Wolf. Wolf Cinema typically has the best image at CEDIA for me.
Now, they're very high end then? They're
very
expensive.
High end. Yes.
Like what? What are we talking?
Oh, we're talking 5 figures easy.
Like $10,000.
Yeah, $10,000. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Depending on the model. I think they have 1 or 2 of their entry levels that are under $10,000, but probably not much.
Wow.
So they're very expensive, and they're basically
and that's not including
the
screen either.
No, that's not.
Another
that's just
thousands of dollars.
Yes. This is the Custom Electronics Design and Installation Association here. So
okay.
we're talking about people who have money to just pay somebody to say, build me a theater. Now, one of the cool things I'm going to see that I saw last year also is from a theater designer by the name of Theo Kalamarakis. And he's a very well-known theater designer, and he started a company called Rayva, Rayva, that basically packages custom theaters. They have pre-made packages of seating and acoustic treatments and a projector and a screen and design and everything that designers and installers can take en masse and just put in a room and boom, you've got a theater. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing this year. It should be very interesting. As Theo, I have great respect for Theo. He is a very sharp designer, really knows his stuff.
Nice.
And so that's going to be cool. I'm going to bring you a full report next week.
Good.
From
Will we
CEDIA.
also see it on techhive.com? Will you write it up there as well? Good.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Although you'll probably hear it first because I may not get a chance to write it up in time. I mean, I'm coming back from Cedia Friday night, and boom, I'm on your show Saturday morning.
The magic of live radio. I love it,
baby.
I love it. Scott Wilkinson, he's our home theater geek contributor at techhive.com, and he joins us each week. And if you want to ask Scott questions, you can email Scott at techguylabs.com. And
yep.
We never seem to have time to get to the questions. Maybe in a couple of weeks we can do a mailbag episode. Sounds great. Thank you, Scott. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. More of your calls coming up right after this.
So, hey, everybody. Nice to see you. Beatmaster's asking, did I have time to watch the Dark Crystal Netflix show? No, I haven't, but I'm very interested in it. I do want to see it. I enjoyed the movie, the Dark Crystal movie, and I'm quite interested in. I've read some reviews, though, that the Skeksis are portrayed in an interesting way. I don't really know anything about it other than what I read, which was it was the might be a parody or a parable, I should say, of current times. We'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let's see. Oh, we've been talking. Let's see. I think it was Beatmaster and Twisted Mister and Keith 43. Maybe we're talking about high resolution audio and whether or not you can hear it or not. Whether or not it's a placebo effect. Does it really make a difference? Can you hear? Does the music sound better if it's recorded in high resolution? And I did an experiment some years ago on AVS Forum where I worked with Mark Waldrop of AIX Records, and we took 3 tracks of his that he records in high resolution, 9624, and we downshifted it, each of these 3 tracks, to 44116 CD specs, and carefully matched them. Had a little trouble at the beginning, but ended up matching them, level matching them, and so on. And I posted them and let people download them. And I didn't say which was which. I just said A and B. And I said, okay, listen to both of these. Tell me which one's high res. And also tell me what your equipment is that you're using. And I got, I don't know, 60, 70 responses, something like that. I forget what the proportion was of regular, of non-high-res playback systems and high-res playback systems. But I do remember that among the non-high-res playback systems, the listeners got the correct answer 50% of the time, exactly as you would expect from random guessing. Among those who had actual high-res capable systems, their correct response was 80%. So it was non-scientific, I admit. It was not a carefully controlled study. It was just an indication that, maybe there is something there. What is it? That's a whole other question. If you can really hear the difference, some people speculated that, it's the effect on your skin. I'm not sure I buy that, but it was pretty interesting. So let's see. Yes, we're all nitwits. Let's see here. Hey, Dr. Mom Grandma, good to see you as always. Somebody asked me about lasers. Mike in California. Oh, I'll have to come back to that.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888. Ask Leo the phone number. Back to the phones we go. Line 2. Mike, Highland, California. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Leo, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Hey, love your show. Always listen. And I've heard you speak about VPNs.
Yes.
I'm concerned about security with my cell phone and my tablet when I'm on public Wi-Fi. But I also seriously need a password manager. And I'm hoping I can find one with both password manager and VPN combined.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if anybody does that. What a good idea that would be.
And, I've got so many email addresses and so many accounts online, and I'm constantly having to change, do forgot password and resetting it. And
you really need
They won't let you use one you've used in the past, and they keep changing their rules on what characters you can and can't use, and I'm just so sick of it.
If you never leave the house, I want to say something, because I think we talk about password managers a lot. The idea is it's a vault that you can keep your passwords in. It will generate passwords for you. It will generate passwords that are completely unmemorable. Usually that's very good. The more random, the harder to crack. So long, strong passwords, and then it remembers them so you don't have to, but you have to remember one master password that unlocks it. That is such a good idea, but I think it's also a little complicated, and there are people who only use a computer at home. They don't take a laptop or a phone out, and so for them, it'd be fine to write it in a book, as long as nobody has access to your house, and keep it, by your computer. Just put them in a book and keep it by your computer. But a password manager is such a nice thing to have. It's such a convenience. It's just a little bit complicated to set up. And so for people who say, "Oh, I'm not going to use a password manager," okay. But the really important thing is not to reuse your passwords. Have a new password for every site and make a note of it. The less memorable, the better. So I don't know of any VPN combined with a password manager. That's an interesting thought. We have sponsors in both categories, ExpressVPN and LastPass. And as you know, I'm very careful. We're very picky with our sponsors. So I do recommend both of those as good choices. The VPN is completely different. Oh, wait a minute. Now somebody's saying Dashlane has both. All right. Dashlane's a very good password manager. It's not LastPass, but that's okay. It's a very nice password manager. Most of the commercial password managers are nice because they work on all the platforms, so you can keep them on your desktop, on your phone, and all that stuff. Let me see if Dashlane has a VPN. If it does, that's the answer to your question.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Certainly have no problem recommending Dashlane as a password manager. They're very good. They actually are very aesthetically pleasing. All the password managers have a little bit of an issue. Yeah, wait a minute. Look at that. Dashlane encrypts your online activity. Yes, they have a VPN. Now, I wonder if it's the same. You have to have.
I wonder if it's 256-bit encryption.
Yeah, they're all going to be strong encryption. There's no point in doing it. It's so easy to do a VPN with strong encryption. There'd be no reason not to, unless you were setting up a bogus VPN of some kind. There's no point in doing that. Actually, let me address that a little bit too. When you're choosing a VPN, the whole privacy security issue that you're worried about as you wander around and with your smartphone or in a coffee shop goes away locally, but then is put on the VPN, right? You're just kicking the can down the road. That VPN now knows everything that the local Wi-Fi did, and so if they're shady, then you haven't solved a problem. You might have made it worse. So really important to choose a VPN that is privacy-focused, trustworthy, secure. Dashlane's a good company. I would expect their VPN to be very good. So there you go. There's a good solution.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is all new to me. You do have to get the premium version, not the free version of Dashlane.
Yeah, no, I would never go with the free version.
Yeah, especially of a VPN. Dashlane's not expensive. It's $60 a year. $5 a month. That's not bad. A little more than LastPass, but you're getting a VPN thrown in. So that's actually less than most VPNs.
Great.
Good deal.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the call. I will. Thank you. I knew what you were about to say. I will keep up the good work. I hope you were going to say that. Yeah. So Password Vault is like that book. In fact, I was at Walmart, I think, and I saw. In the maybe it was at Staples, they had they have notebooks, and one of them said passwords. Maybe not the best idea to have a book name with a title on the front that says passwords for your password manager. Maybe just a little nondescript little black book that you keep in a drawer that's not obvious, locked if possible, right? Thing is, if you never go out of the house, you always have that book with you. That's as good as a password manager. But you have to make sure nobody breaks into your house. And that book has the same problem all password managers have. If somebody gets the book or the password vault, they get all your passwords. It's a single point of failure. Suddenly, whoa, they got everything. So maybe a password vault's a little bit better, because even if the bad guys were to break in and to LastPass or Dashlane or 1Password's servers and steal all the password vaults, they'd be so heavily encrypted, so protected that they couldn't do anything with them, which is not something you can say for the notebook, unless you write everything backwards. That wouldn't stop anybody for very long. Really like the other part about a password manager that I really like that a notebook doesn't do is it generates good passwords for you. And you can make them long. Since you don't have to remember them, make them as long as the site will allow. I often make mine 20, 30, 40, 50 characters because I don't have to remember them. Long makes it harder to guess. If you're doing that at that point, you're pretty safe from brute force attacks. The next thing you want to do after password manager, as long as I'm talking about this, I should mention this, is two-factor authentication. And certainly do that on your password manager. That means not only do you need a password, a login and a password to get into the password manager, the first time you use it on a device, you'll also need some other way of proving you are, who you say you are. That's a second factor of authentication, a second way of proving your identity. And if you've got a bank account, if your bank allows it, do it. If Google does, Twitter does, Facebook does, turn it on. Turn it on. Amazon does, turn it on. It's a little less convenient. Again, it's only the first time you use a device. It's just the first time. But it is a huge roadblock to hackers. The CEO of Twitter got hacked the other day, and then a TV celebrity got hacked right after by the same group, the Chuckling Squad. Ha ha ha. And if they'd had two-factor on their systems, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have gotten hacked. Actually, they did get hacked in a weird way. It's one of the reasons I tell people not to use, if possible. Most banks, unfortunately, still use text messages for your second factor. So you log into the bank and it says, great, what's your phone number? We're going to send you a text message, and you get 6 digits or 12 digits or whatever, you enter it in. And they say, yep, that's you because you had your phone. The problem is this thing called SIM jacking, which the Chuckling Squad apparently used against the CEO of Twitter and the television star. They called the phone company and said, "Oh, I moved. I lost my phone. Can you send me a new SIM card? Or I have a SIM card. Let me assign my number to it." Something like that. And often it's the case the phone company will go, "Okay, yeah, sure." They're not as careful as they ought to be. And now they have your phone number. That's how they were able to tweet as the CEO of Twitter. They just had his phone number. And Twitter, in their stupidity, said, that's enough. Just as long as you got that phone number, that's okay. That's good enough for us. We don't need a password. That's good enough for us. Two factors. So Twitter has turned off, at least temporarily, the use of a text message as a second factor. That's fine. Put an authenticator app on your phone and use it. I use Authy. It's free, A-U-T-H-Y. I love it. You can put it on all your devices. It'll generate the code for you in a secure fashion. You're much, much safer. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Okay, Scott. Whoa. Your moment in the sun has come. You're not running Chrome, are you, by any chance?
I am not running Chrome, but look at that. It's terribly delayed.
Yeah.
I just rebooted my computer, too, before we came on.
It got better in the segment, but then it's bad again.
But now it's bad again.
Yeah. What else you got open? Whatever you got open, the few things as you possibly can.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to quit out of... All I have is Safari, Skype, and XChat. But I'm going to quit out of Safari then.
You might need that.
Well, I need some sort of browser for... Let's see, is this any better? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
It is better. It's not 100% better. Yeah, so
not 100% better.
Clearly, it's a CPU issue.
Yeah, I need a new. I do this from my MacBook, and it's several years old, and I need a new one. But I think, would you agree that I need to kind of hang on if I can?
Yeah, there'll be a nice new one coming out this year. Yeah.
Do we know when?
No, probably October.
Not too far.
Yeah, not too far.
Won't be cheap, though, will it?
No, it'll be a high end, 16 inch. Yeah.
Oh, I don't need a 16-inch.
Maybe we'll send you a Mac Mini or something. That might be a good idea. Figure out you could have a dedicated Mac Mini for it.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
How much RAM, I wonder, do you have on that machine?
Let me tell you. Let's see. I have 8 gigs.
Yeah. Let me talk to John. Maybe we can get you a Mac Mini. Anyway,
okay.
all yours.
Okay, thank you. Hey, that would be awesome. Mike and CA, what are your specs? Let's see. Like I said, it's several years old. It's a MacBook Pro, 2.9 gigahertz Intel Core i7, 8 gigabytes of 1600 megahertz DDR3 RAM. It's an entirely SSD drive, so it should be good. I don't quite understand why we're having this trouble, but I do need a new one. That's true. Yeah, Scooter X, 8 gigabytes is not that much. I agree. These days, it's not. When I first bought this computer, it was better. But again, I'm only running at this point. I'm only running Skype and XChat. That's all I'm running. It shouldn't be a problem. So I don't know. More than enough for a single app. That's right. All I'm doing is Skyping. Anyway, let's see. What can we talk about here? Mike in California was asking, what about laser projectors? Those can certainly get higher light output somewhat. And I'm sure Wolf will show. Maybe that's the Wolf 10,000 lumen one. Somebody else in the chat room was talking about lumens and how they are. They can possibly be deceptive, and that's true. They can. Measuring lumens is very much like measuring amplifier wattage. You can do it in a variety of ways, and you can really, kind of screw around with things so that you get these super high numbers that don't really mean anything in the real world. So that is another problem with lumens. Nits depend upon the screen. So manufacturers can't say, oh, you'll get this many nits off your screen. Well, that depends on what screen you're using. So there's really no way to do that. Mike Heiss, no tuba QC. No, I've never been a tuba QC engineer. That would be fun. I'd love to do that actually, but it ain't gonna happen now, I don't think. Let's see what else. Sports Ball says Pulp Fiction is my number 2 movie. Scott, you can handle that. Can I really? I don't know. I have been told that it's pretty violent too, and I'm not interested in watching violence. Video killed the radio star. Yeah, good. Out of sync. That's good. I've been thinking about. I mean, now that my theme song, my bumper music is kind of set in stone, but I had thought at one point of seeing if I could get Tower of Power. What is hip? Because I love that song. So we'll see. Let's see here. Talked about Dark Crystal and my sync and Key 43. I got a Chappie car dash cam. I suppose you mean cheapy off Amazon. It has HDR. A dash cam with HDR. What? That's kind of weird. But I feel something as cheap as this won't make a difference or mess up the video. Well, I don't think it'll mess up the video. The question is, if you capture it in HDR, will you be able to see it in HDR? What kind of HDR format does it use? HDR10, HLG. How do you actually watch it? You put it into a TV. Many phones are, I think, HDR capable these days, so you might be able to just watch it on your phone that way. I would experiment with it. He's asking, should he just leave it off? Well, I'd play around with it. If it can do HDR, that would be good, because the difference in light level, depending on where it's pointing, if it's pointing out into the world through the dash, being a dash cam, then you've got bright areas, especially if you're during the day and it's very bright out, and you might have some shaded areas. And if you're not in HDR, if you're not recording in HDR, the information in either the bright areas or the dark areas, depending on how it's biased, would be obscured, and you wouldn't be able to see them. And in HDR, you would, maybe. So I would play around with that. That could be kind of cool. Let's see. WordUp has sent a link to Digital Trends about a Hisense 8K TV, laser TV at IFA, which is the Berlin Consumer Electronics Show, actually, the European Consumer Electronics Show that's held in Berlin. And I haven't seen that yet. I imagine it's like the one Leo has. They call it a laser TV. It's actually an ultra short throw projector. So they might have an 8K one now, and I'll have to go look at that.
Sort of 4K.
Yeah,
sort of 4K laser.
Yeah, it's DLP as I recall, and it's a
I think it's
wiggling.
laser.
No, yeah, it's laser. That's the light source.
Oh, but it's DLP.
DLP is the imaging technology, and I'm pretty sure it's a single chip DLP that wiggles the pixels back and forth to create pseudo 4K.
Jeez Louise.
I know. Let's see here. What do I think about the new Sonos products, Dr. Mom Grandma? Most seem to be refreshes, but portable outdoor one looks interesting. I haven't really looked at them. Mike Heiss, I think, has probably spent more time with with Sonos. They will be at Cedia, and I plan to stop by. We'll see what they have to say about that. Beers on Me saw Tower of Power live at Toad's Place in New Haven many years ago.
Toad's Place. I remember that.
I've seen them many times and got to meet them as well. They were great. They are a great band. All right, that's it.
Thank you, Scott.
My pleasure. See you next week.
See you next week. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, the new iPhones, the old iPhones. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number if you want to talk high tech. 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We could talk about virtual reality too. I'm not a fan, but I have to say our 16-year-old had a bunch of buddies sleep over last night, and had 3 16-year-olds this morning in the living room wearing those visors, the HTC Vive. He's playing Vivecraft, which is Minecraft. He's got a little Minecraft world. I run a server actually with 4 different worlds on it. And he's playing it with the visor, which means it's kind of an interesting idea. He's been playing Minecraft. It's a building game. You build stuff. It's a pretty cool game. He and his friends, his buddies, have built a giant city with skyscrapers. There's helicopters. There's medevac units. In the subway, there's a sewer system. It's incredible what they've done over probably a couple of years. Now he could put on this Vive VR visor and go into his town, walk around, look around, look at what he's built. That's kind of amazing. Kind of a cool experience. It's also a little weird because Minecraft is intentionally but they call it 8-bit. It's not really 8-bit, but it's intentionally old school graphics, not super smooth, beautiful graphics, not realistic. It's more like Lego. In fact, that's about the closest analogy, because it's It is really a Lego world he's built. It's just virtual. It's not made out of plastic. Pretty cool. So while I am not a big fan of virtual reality, I think the youngs might be. They grew up with it. They're kind of this part of their life now. 8888 Ask Leo. We could talk about that too. Heather Hummin answering the phones. The H-bomb in studio. And she's lined up Andre in Long Beach for me. Hello, Andre.
Hi, how are you? Long-time listener.
Thank you, Andre. Welcome.
Hi, I just have a question. So I have about $45K to spend on a vehicle, and I was looking at the Model S's, the 2013, 2014, and they're in that price range. So I'm wondering, is the technology still good, still, acceptable to spend the money on an older Model S of 2013, 2014?
You are in the price range for a Model 3. And there is a lot of difference in the technology between Model S and Model 3. The Model 3 is, I think, a more advanced technology. The wiring, for instance. With the Model S, Tesla had to outsource even things like door handles. They make their own for the Model 3, and so the wiring harness is much simpler. It's everything in there is computer controlled. So I think the Model 3 is probably better than the Model S, and you'll get a brand new one, which means you'll get new batteries. You won't get somebody's used batteries. Those batteries are going to last 10 years, but you don't know how well taken care of they were. If somebody used fast charging all the time, they always went to the supercharger, those batteries are in much worse shape than if they were gentler with them. So,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, you're buying a used electric vehicle is a little bit different, especially because electric vehicles are kind of like computers were in the 90s. Every year there was a big improvement. Not so much these days anymore, right? But with computers, but with electric vehicles, it's the earliest days. So I think there's a lot of new technologies. In fact, when I bought my Model X, because I like Teslas. When I bought my Model X, it had just come out, and almost 2 months later, not even 2 months, they announced an entirely new self-driving platform with new cameras, new sensors, and all that stuff. So I was already obsolete. Kind of like, remember the computers in the 90s? You get them home, and then it was obsolete. Well, electric vehicles are in that early stage of development, so things happen. Yeah, they're happening very quickly. I would, test drive a Model 3, see if you like it. The S's are beautiful. Now, there is one other thing that has given me some pause about getting another Tesla, and that is the health of the company and how well run it is. And, it's hard to figure out exactly what's going on at Tesla. Elon Musk is a little bit odd, quirky, and certainly I give him a lot of credit for what he's done. It's amazing. I don't think we'd have electric vehicles all over the place as we do now if it weren't for Tesla leading the way.
A fantastic product.
Exactly. I was very, very proud to own a Tesla, and I loved it. For all 3 years I had it, I loved it. But when it came time to get a new one, I thought, I don't know. The real problem I hear, and I'd love to hear from other people, but I follow the Tesla forums and the Tesla subreddit on reddit.com. And the real complaint I'm hearing from people is the delay in getting parts. If your windshield gets broken, it might be 2 months before it gets fixed. And so that worries me a little bit about Tesla in general. On the other hand, every single person I know who has a Model 3 is head over heels in love with it. I think
the heads-up display is hard to get rid of, though.
Well, so that's an interesting issue with the Model 3. It's not I don't know about a heads-up display, but they do have that screen, and almost everything's on the screen. There are very few buttons or knobs or controls. You should try it and see if you like it before you buy, because that's a big shift away from the way we drive in a normal vehicle. There's knobs and buttons, and some people really are attached to physical controls. The U.S. Navy, remember they had a little problem with their warship, the SS McCain, colliding with another ship with great loss of life and damage? They investigated it, and they said the problem apparently was we were too computerized. We didn't have physical throttles. It was all on the screen, and the two helmsmen, they're different helmsmen in different areas, got confused. And so as a result, the boat collided, or the ship collided, so they're going back to physical controls on the naval warships because they think they're easier for humans. And I think there may be something to be said for that. Tesla's gone in the opposite direction. It's all digital. You only have a few buttons.
Update the buttons if it goes bad, I guess.
I loved my Tesla. My wife wasn't so crazy. She said, "You're driving a beta. It's a beta test." I said, "Yeah, it's a beta test." I love that. If you're the kind of computer user that likes to try the latest, greatest stuff, that Tesla's a great thing for you. If you're the kind of person who doesn't update very often and likes everything to stay the same, maybe not.
I see. All right. Thank you so much.
I would get a Tesla. If it were me, I would get another Tesla. I really love those. I never had any problems with parts, but I never broke my windshield, so I don't know. And I don't want to besmirch them either. I mean, I think that they've done an amazing thing. And I'll tell you one thing. It's all electric for me from now on. The nice thing is you have many choices now. I should probably mention the Chevy Bolt, which we bought instead of another Tesla, which is Chevy's all-electric vehicle, similar range to the Model 3 and the Model S. Really nice little vehicle. Fully loaded after the federal tax rebate, $30,000. So you'd even have a little left over. That might be something to consider. I really like that Chevy Bolt. Not as many interesting features. It doesn't have the auto driving capability. It doesn't even have adaptive cruise control, which I do miss. But it is a peppy little electric vehicle, easy to charge, low maintenance. Electric engines are simple, not nearly as complex as internal combustion engines. I really think it's a great car. And that's the thing. You're going to see a lot of other electric vehicles coming along. The Mini Cooper just got announced, electric Mini. Of course, the Porsche Taycan got announced this week. If you had 150,000 lying around, that would be one to look at. It's a little pricey. But they'll have less expensive vehicles coming along. And actually, that's the one that's competing directly against Tesla's Model S, although much more expensive. 8888 Ask Leo. The Kona is great. The Hyundai Kona, the Nissan Leaf. There are a lot of good choices now, and I think many more coming. VW ID is coming out pretty soon. New from Volkswagen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Little Billy Joel action. I can hear our new musical director, Laura, at work. I don't know if Big Pee Wee would have played Uptown Girl, but I know Laura would. Am I right? Am I right? Bill in Irvine, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bill.
Hi.
Hey.
My name is Bill.
Yes, sir.
My partner, Boris, and I are developing in our garage some iOS apps.
Nice.
And we're thinking about using Project Catalyst, which is coming out soon. And with 100 million active Mac users, and I know some of our users are asking for things on the Mac, which we don't have, of course. And I wanted your opinion on perhaps using Project Catalyst. It used to be called Project Marzipan.
Marzipan, they called it, yeah. This is Apple's plan to make it easy for iOS app developers, of which there are millions and millions now, to put their Mac apps on the Mac. And not every app deserves to be on the Mac or would make sense on the Mac, so it really depends a little on what your app is. But if you think that desktop makes sense for your app, then I think Catalyst is the way to do it. People are going crazy over it. I have not developed with it, so I can't give you an insider's look with it at it. But given that it comes from Apple, that's going to be by far the preferred way to do it.
Correct. And it's going to be native, which is nice.
Right. I don't know what the limitations are, but I do know that Apple, of course, is dog fooding it. That's the phrase they use in Silicon Valley. They say you got to eat your own dog food. So in Silicon Valley, if a company makes a product and doesn't use it, that's a bad sign. But Apple's using it. They did it. They redid their Stocks app. And what else? The Notes app. I can't remember, but they did a couple of iOS apps, and they're shipping them on Catalina, their newest.
Yes.
And apparently Twitter has already ported its app to Catalyst. That's a pretty easy app. Atlassian is moving apps that they have on Do you have a tiger in the room with you, or a large...
No, I was in my Swift programming developers group, Flock of Swift, and I just moved outside so you wouldn't hear the clatter inside of the...
That's cool. And you really do that in the garage?
No, I'm at a meetup right now.
Oh, okay. I think that's great to keep that garage alive. You know, it all started with Hewlett and Packard, who started HP in the garage. That is now a monument in Silicon Valley. And then, of course, the first Apple I computers were wired up in Steve Jobs' parents' garage. Yeah, I think it'll be where it'll be the real test is when somebody does a game, an iOS game. And when we start seeing games moved to a Mac using Catalyst, then I'll be impressed. I don't know if anybody's doing that yet, but
our app is going worldwide right now as we speak.
Well, let's give it a plug. What's the name of the app?
Oldmanwave.com.
Old Man Wave. What is it? What is it? What is the old man waving at?
It's a swell forecasting.
Oh, it's a surf report. Oh, that's cool.
Correct.
That's really cool. Yeah. So
go on.
You can see the value. This is a great mobile app. Makes a lot of sense, right? You're hopping in the woody. You're putting the surfboard on the roof, and you want to see what it's going to be, where you should go, right, for the best swells. But on the other hand, I could see people watching this on their desktop just to kind of. Do you have video in there?
No, but we do have swell reports with models, like a 2-week model out, and
that's cool.
An eyeball report with pictures and stuff, and an island shadowing report. So we do those for San Onofre state beaches.
This is really cool. I'm looking at your website, oldmanwaves.com. Really neat.
Correct.
Beautiful website, too.
Correct.
So you're doing it in Swift?
That's for us. We're doing it in Swift, all native.
Okay. So that'll make it very easy to use Catalyst. I haven't looked at it, but I would guess it's just a switch or two in Xcode. I don't know.
There's an Xcode SDK.
Yeah.
And other components for the API.
Well, for instance, you don't want it to look like it's on a phone, so you have that right now, a phone aspect ratio. You'd want to be able to adjust it to the screen aspect ratio for a desktop, things like that. And why not? Do you do an iPad version yet?
We do, but we're developing right now for the phone. But you can download it on the iPad, but you got to download it in portrait mode, and then it works.
So I wonder if the next thing might be an iPad version and then a Catalyst version, but maybe you can do it all at once. How many is it just you and Boris?
Just Boris and I, yeah. He's the best programmer in South Cal.
So you're the designer, he's the coder?
Yeah, pretty much. We both do things together.
Nice. That's really fun. I think that's a great idea. And man, a nice site. You did a very nice site. Did Boris do that?
Yeah, he did the site.
Yeah. Boris has the chops, man. He's got the mad web skills. Yeah.
Boris, you got the chops, man.
Are you both surfers?
No, he's from Germany. He's very precise in his work.
Perfect.
And I'm the surfer.
The best coders come
the other day.
Yeah, so you need that. So this is a really good example. You need somebody who can really code, but Boris doesn't have the salt water in his veins that you do.
I do.
I think it's really important that you get both. Go ahead.
He's good, yeah. I was out there the other day, and I was promoting it in the water as I was surfing, and this guy whips out his phone and downloads it
nice.
there as I'm waiting for a wave.
That's nice. Oh, dude, have you seen this Old Man's Wave, man? It's cool. Oh, I'm downloading it right now. Surf's up, cowabunga, dude. I bet they don't talk like that anymore. But anyway.
No, they don't.
No, of course not.
My eyes were popping out as he was doing it.
Isn't that, well, but see, that's the thing. That's what this mobile world is so different. And really, that's why, honestly, the future is mobile, not so much the desktop. You'll get some fraction of users on the desktop, or maybe people who get it for mobile will say, oh, good, I can have it running in the background on my desktop. But honestly, Apple knows this. The only reason they're making Catalyst, in my opinion, is to get the huge array of software that's available for iOS, give the Mac a little bit of a breather as it slowly fades off into the sunset. It's the old man's computer.
Correct. They need a boost in the Apple Store.
That's exactly what's going on. Hey, it's great to talk to you.
Can I ask you?
Sure, hold on a second, because I have to take a break, and Johnny Jett, our travel guy's coming up, but I'll keep you on the line. Thank you, Bill and Boris. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Sorry, I just had to take a break. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, I'm using 1.1.1.1 Cloudflare.
Yes.
And I hear other people talking about that. By the way, your personality, super duper.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thanks, dude.
And and I'm using it right now at the cafe, and I can see it's using my VPN internally.
Right.
And I wanted to know your experience with.
So it's not a VPN. But what it does do is it hides your searches, which I think more and more I think we need to talk a little bit about. Do you need a full VPN at the cafe? Probably most of the places you're going are SSL anyway. They're encrypted anyway because you're on secure HTTP. Everything's going that way. So that gives you all the benefit of a VPN with one exception. The coffee shop can see where you're going. Using Quad 1s means you no longer use the coffee shop's DNS server. You're using Cloudflare's DNS server. So in that respect, I think, and this is part of a larger movement towards DNS over HTTPS, encrypted DNS. And I do think this is a good move. I use it on Firefox, for instance, because then the ISP can't they can't really see what you're doing on Facebook, but they know you're on Facebook. They can't really see what you're searching for on Google. That's encrypted, but they know you're on Google. They don't even get that. One caveat. Cloudflare gets it.
Right.
So that's the same thing I was saying about VPNs, where you're just kicking the privacy can down the road.
Correct.
You have to trust Cloudflare. I trust Cloudflare. I like them a lot, but
you said that.
The reason they're doing this, it seems to me, is because they get valuable data. I don't think they're selling it. That's not the issue. They want to know. Cloudflare's whole business is better understanding network topographies. So I think that's valuable to them, but I don't think it's an invasion of your privacy. But it is something to keep in mind. It's encrypted to your coffee shop or your home internet server. I use it too, by the way. But you are giving Cloudflare that information. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, could you do me a favor, and could you at some point, if you know some surfers, we're just trying to promote.
I think we just told about 1 million people. I would think a few of them are surfers.
I was going to say that. I bet you there's at least one listening.
If they didn't get insulted by my cowabunga dude, then I think we got them.
Oh no, not at all. Anyway,
I'm jealous. I wish I had learned to surf. I love the ocean, and anything to spend an excuse to spend more time in the waves would be good with me.
Well, if you come down where I am, I'll teach you.
All right, deal. I might be too old to be learning how to surf at this age. My kids were able.
Download the app and you can reach me.
We went down to Oaxaca in Mexico to Sayulita Beach, which is a very nice. It's a great place to learn, and both kids took surfing lessons down there and were able to get up and they really loved it. But
and how are they doing now?
Well, they didn't keep surfing, but Henry's a skater, so he's got great balance. I don't think Abby's goes in the ocean anymore.
Oh well.
I love the ocean. When we retire, we're going to retire somewhere by the ocean. Maybe I'll pick it up then.
I hear you always talking about retiring.
I don't know. I shouldn't be. It's because I'm in my 60s. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
I know. I'm in my 70s.
Nice. And you're not retired?
No. I work for a company that lets me do my own stuff.
Perfect.
On my own time.
I suspect that's what's going to happen to me. I can't give this up. I like doing this.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's cool.
Don't want to stop.
But if you want to reach me, you can go to the app and you can see the email address.
Cool. Thank you, Bill. Good luck.
Anyway,
looks great.
My pleasure.
Good. Looks great.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. The Tech Eye Podcast is brought to you by LastPass. We talk all the time about We talk all the time about password managers on this show. And I first became aware of a password manager about 10 years ago when LastPass came out. Actually, I think I was using another one right before it, and then LastPass came out, and I went, oh, this is it. LastPass keeps track of all my passwords. It does it everywhere I am. So not just Mac and Windows, but iOS, Android, even on Linux. In fact, LastPass has browser plugins for all the major browsers, Safari, Edge, Firefox, Chrome. So you always can have it with you as you browse the net. When you need to log in, it'll automatically fill in passwords. On iOS and Android now, it automatically fills in passwords as well, which is fantastic. And because it's a password vault, it keeps your passwords safe, encrypted. You don't have to remember them. You just remember your master password and let LastPass remember everything else. It'll even generate new passwords for you whenever you want. They have a great security check, which I do every few months, just to make sure I haven't accidentally reused passwords or done something dumb with my passwords. And they'll even help you change passwords on a regular basis if that's what you want to do in an automated fashion. Now, I love LastPass so much, we also use it here at work. It's our enterprise password manager. And that's important because, when your employees are accessing your bank accounts or your servers or your websites, they've got the keys to the kingdom in their hands. And I can't count on them to be as careful with their passwords as I am with mine. So since they've got my passwords, I'm going to make sure that they do the right thing with them and they use LastPass. In fact, in most cases, I don't even need to give them the password. I just say, use LastPass, it'll log you in automatically. So they don't even know the password. Turns out employees like to share passwords with other people, including people who don't work for you. LastPass Enterprise is great. They just set up an expanded business lineup with some amazing features that do two things that are normally mutually inconsistent. Make your company more secure and more convenient for your users. LastPass Enterprise now has single sign-on, 1,200 plus SAML integrated apps, each with its own getting started guide, so your employees will be able to get started on their own. It's very easy to get up and running, and they're going to love it because they just press one button and they're in. LastPass MFA, multi-factor, leverages additional features like biometrics, face or fingerprint, and contextual factors like location, IP address to further verify you are who you say you are. It goes one step farther than two-step. LastPass Identity is a combination of this new LastPass Enterprise and LastPass MFA, from single sign-on and password management to adaptive authentication. LastPass gives you granular control in the IT department and your users frictionless access in one simple, secure solution. I keep everything in there, including passports, driver's licenses, social security numbers. I trust LastPass. From authentication to access to passwords, LastPass manages every entry point to your business, so you can mitigate risk while improving employee productivity. LastPass.com to find out more. LastPass.com to find out more. And we thank them for their support of the Tech Guy podcast. LastPass.com/twit. He's been everywhere, man. He's Johnny Jett, our travel guru. Joins us every week to talk about traveling better with technology. Johnny, great to talk to you. How you doing? How's the fam doing? You've got a new baby?
Fam's doing great. Thank you very much for asking.
Nice.
Since we have a newborn, I'm not really traveling too much, although I just feel like I've did travel, even though I had a staycation kind of. I actually just walked in the door from In-N-Out Burger at LAX where my buddy Cranky Flyer.
You went to the airport even though you're not flying anywhere.
Well, it's not in the airport. It's right next to the airport.
In-N-Out at LAX. That sounds very Southern Californian.
Well, this is known as probably one of the best plane spotting places in America.
Oh.
Easy, if not the best in America.
So you get your double-double. You get your fries animal style. You go sit down. You watch the 747s take off.
Well, you don't see too many 747s these days.
Oh.
So, but actually, you're not even really watching them take off. You want to see them land. They land pretty much on your head.
Oh, nice. So you go outside?
Yeah, you're right outside. There's a field across the way. And right now, there's 200 people there probably because my buddy who has a website, which is actually a good website to mention, crankyflyer.com. Brett, he has this thing every year called the Cranky Dork Fest. So it's all these airplane aviation dorks.
That
one
sounds
of them.
like fun. This was Dorkfest at the In-N-Out?
Yeah, the hashtag's Cranky Dorkfest. And, I was there. The CEO of United Airlines was there, Oscar.
Wow.
So was the CEO of Delta was supposed to be there. He backed out last minute, but all the other executives were there. They're handing out stuff. And it's just a bunch of aviation geeks.
This is serious. If you get the CEO of United, wow.
One of my buddies who's a photographer for USA Today, he was in Singapore yesterday and New York. He flew Singapore and New York to LA just to come to this event. And
is it too late for me to run down?
Yeah, it's too late. It's only going to last a couple of months. But it's something. It's a really fun event. And
did you do the airfield tour?
You know what? I did not, because LAX said you can go anytime you want, and because we have a newborn, I don't want to be away from home too long.
Yeah.
But I brought Jack, and actually I just posted a picture on Twitter of Jack.
Does he like
myself?
Does he like planes?
Oh, he loves it, and he wears a pilot. He wears a pilot hat every time he gets on the plane, and he's flown over 60 times. The guy's not even 3.
Wow.
And but anyway, there's a picture of us with Cranky and the CEO of United right in front of In-N-Out, so you get a little bit of a sense of it. But also this week, which was really fun that I went to, I got to finally check out the Brady Bunch house, which is in Studio City, California. And the Brady Bunch, I went to a party with the whole cast and everyone. They had never been in the house until the last year when they actually remodeled the house to look like
house?
a set.
It's not on this. It's not on the lot.
Well, the show was shot on Paramount, but they HGTV bought the house that they used for the exterior shot.
Oh,
there's the photo you're posting right now.
Yeah.
And so anyway, HGTV bought this house, and they got the Property Brothers and a few other designers to work with the cast to create this TV show that's airing on Monday that's going to look like the exact Brady Bunch house. So they actually had to add 2,000 square feet to it. And I got a preview of it, and it really, I watched the Brady Bunch every day growing up, and I walked in the door and I was like, oh my gosh. So if you go to my Instagram, there's a picture of me on the staircase. It's really, it's a really fun, it's a really, if you like the Brady Bunch.
Must be older than me now.
So I think Greg is 65. I think Marsha's 63. Peter's 61. And I've seen these guys. Chris, he lives down by the beach. I see him at events all the time. And
Do
they're
they
all
look
really
the same?
They have gray hair. If they dyed their hair, they actually would look pretty close. At least most of them.
It does look the same. That house. Wow. That is very 70s. Holy cow.
I mean, that's the house. They did a great job remodeling it. And But anyway, I was hoping they were going to turn it into a tour, but the neighbors were up in their arms, so it sounds like they're not going to be able to do it, because I definitely would pay to go on a tour like this, and I know others would too. I mean, it's huge.
Wow.
So anyway, that's that. That's airing on Monday, and but I do have some websites for you. I don't know how much time we have,
sure,
but
go ahead.
One actually is for Hurricane Dorian, because the Bahamas just got slammed, and how you can help them. So the Miami Herald created a page, and I took a lot of their links and I made a post out of it. So where you can donate, including the Bahamas Red Cross, the National Association of the Bahamas World Central Kitchen, which is Chef Jose Andres, who I think is amazing because he has this nonprofit that he created just after.
Isn't he incredible how he's feeding the Bahamas?
He really is.
So amazing.
And actually, last year I was at a conference in New York where the governor of Puerto Rico was there, and he was ragging on Jose Andres, saying he was just doing it for publicity. And then it turns out the governor,
he was a jerk, and he's gone now.
It just blew my mind. I was like, how could you not
still feeding
love it?
people? Yeah, no kidding.
And he does it around the world. And his website, by the way, is wck.org, World Central Kitchen. And he has a team where they go all around the world, wherever they need. If the kitchen's destroyed, he says they come in, they build one, and they cook huge, big paella pans.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm a huge fan of his. I'm going to donate right after I get off the phone.
Well, anybody who's done any traveling has probably been to the Bahamas. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful country, but very poor. And just as the British Virgin Islands a couple of years ago got devastated by a hurricane, I think that was Irma. It's just devastating, and not just the deaths, but the people who are just left completely homeless. And so Yeah.
And now there's an environmental problem. And by the way, this is the northern Bahamas island. So half the island, or more than half the island, is fine. Nassau, that's all. The airport's open. It wasn't even affected, I don't think. So all the resorts are still in business. It's just the northern part that you
you have a great blog post. If people go to johnnyjet.com and there's a link how you can help the Bahamas recover after Hurricane Dorian. I think many of us have been there, whether on cruises or just for trips. I've been to Nassau many times, but I just have a love for the people and the place, and I just feel for them. So.
For sure. And actually, yesterday, a story went viral where a farmer from Orlando or Jacksonville went into a Costco and bought 100 generators and food and stuff, and just the person next to him tweeted about it, and he spent $49,000 at Costco to buy generators. He's like, I can't watch it anymore on TV.
It really makes me feel good. It's horrible to see these things, but it also gives me hope that they step up in cases like this, and it gives me hope about the future of our society. Celebrity cruises send a ship out, the Equinox, and they're cooking for people and they're helping people, 10,000 meals. It's just great to see people step up.
It is. I was in New York City on 9/11, and it was the best and the worst day in America because people came together like no other. And the next few days, it was like we were one, and it wasn't like Republicans versus Democrats or whatever. It was just one, and so that's the best part about tragedies like these.
Yeah.
And
Bahamas Paradise Cruise Line sent their grand celebration, and they're actually evacuating people. There are a lot of people stuck. Can't get off the island, so they're going to help evacuate people using that giant cruise ship to sail them. They're going to dock at Freeport, and they're going to sail them back to Florida. So,
did you go on their private island when you were out there?
I did.
When you did that,
I did.
Royal Caribbean cruise, was it?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was Anthem of the Seas. So who is that? Is that RCL? Yeah, it's RCL. They have a beautiful private island. I don't know if that was hit in the hurricane or not. I was thinking about it, though.
All the cruises, private islands were spared.
Yeah.
Which
Boy,
the one thing about
the
bad part about the
to be honest.
private islands, it's not you're not really helping the Bahamian people because
they could. I wish they'd hit that instead. Anyway, hey, Johnny Jet, JohnnyJet.com. That's the website. He's on Instagram and Twitter as Johnny Jet, and he joins us every week to talk travel. Thank you, Johnny, and
thank you.
I'm so happy for you and the little ones. Stay home, enjoy your life, and we'll all be watching the Brady reunion. On Monday. Thank you, Johnny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, RCL, Norwegian, Carnival, all headed to the Bahamas with supplies. They should, because those cruise lines depend on the Bahamas.
I think most of them are registered at the Bahamas anyway. I think they register there for tax reasons.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So they really need to step up and spend some serious money.
Yeah, Disney's donating $1 million. RCL's donating $1 million. Carnival $2 million.
They got to do more than $1 million. Them donating $1 million is like me giving them $1 or 10 cents.
Yeah, $1 million sounds like a lot.
It's not a lot for these guys.
And Cranky Flyer, I didn't know about him. He seems cool. What makes him so cranky?
He's had this nickname for a long time, and he's really funny. He has this dry humor. But, if you're in aviation, if you like aviation, sign up to his newsletter.
I wish I'd known about Dorkfest. That looks like so much fun.
And people come down, and so Delta Airlines was there. The communications person was there, and she had a huge box. She was handing out gift cards for In-N-Out Burger.
Fun.
Which I have. And, and then people bring model airplanes, and they do a raffle. They had a raffle for airplane for the MD-80. The American Airlines just retired the MD-80.
I loved that plane.
Which I was... And
used to fly
so
that
they're handing out those in-flight safety cards.
Oh, fun. The originals, are they all beat up?
No, I think, they're beat up probably. I didn't get one. Left early to do this, but I'm sure.
Hey, I appreciate it, Johnny. Go back to the babies, Olivia and Jack and Natalie, and give them a big hug for me.
All right, buddy. You take care.
You take care, too. See ya.
See ya.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-42 5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada outside that area. You can call. Just use Skype and you should still be able to reach us. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 1, Matthew Van Nuys. Hi, Matthew.
Hi. Hi. Thanks, Leo. Long time, first time, and all that stuff. My stepson is learning to program in C#.
Good man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 20. He's like the living image of his late father, who was also a programmer.
Nice.
And so the kid wants to know, how do you test software to find out what kind of specs you're going to need? Are you going to need less RAM?
Oh, I see. As the creator of the software or as the purchaser? Oh, that's really interesting. So when you're writing a program, you want to be kind of cognizant of how many resources this program is going to use, and then you want to be efficient if you can. Typically, what programmers will do after they write code, and the first iteration of code is almost always inefficient. In fact, there's a lot of deep thinkers in programming philosophy say it should be. Your first pass through that, you shouldn't be looking at efficiency at all. You should be, solving the problem and then thinking about better ways to solve it. You almost always want to refactor your code. But there's a tool professionals use all the time, and he's probably already somewhat familiar. If he's not, I'm sure. Where is he learning it himself, or is he taking a class? How's he learning?
He's learning it himself. He's kind of introverted.
Okay. So then what he wants to do is he wants to look for something called C# profiling. A profiler is a program programmers use after they've written the code and even after they've made it more efficient and refactored it. And then they run it through a profiler. And what the profiler does is it takes a look at all of the resources the program uses as it runs. A good profiler, and I'm not completely familiar with the tooling for C#, but since it comes from Microsoft, I'm going to guess it's very well supported. A good profiler will then highlight in the code. It'll say, this part of the code spent 23% of the time in this loop right here. And then you go in and you say, well, let's see if we can make that loop more efficient. That is a fine art, but it's a very important art for the programmer. Nowadays, I think, unfortunately, because we have so much speed, so much RAM, such fast hard drives, I get the feeling programmers don't pay as much attention as they used to optimizing their code. But there's a lot of benefit to doing that. Remember, your program isn't the only one running on the computer. Users will really benefit from knowing, that your code is efficient, and you'll feel better about it. So he should look at profiling tools. There are quite a few Microsoft does. Does he use Visual Studio? What is he learning with?
I don't know. This is beyond my understanding.
Okay. Just remember the one word, profiling.
Right.
These are tools that are designed, and I just put a link in the show notes for Microsoft's.
Great.
They have an article on all the profiling tools that work with Visual Studio. And the whole idea is to say, let's look at performance. It won't exactly give you specs ahead of time, but what it will do is give you a chance to optimize, to make that program as usable as possible. And
okay.
I think that's really important. Every programmer should spend some time in the profiling. This is often when we're coding, we talk about tooling. That's the term programmers use, which is the set of all the different tools you use to write the code. It's not just a programming language. It's the editor that you use. It's the libraries that you use. It's the way you build code, the way you test code, and debug it. And so all of these things are very important. A good tool set is worth its weight in gold. And of course, because he's using Microsoft C#, I think that's a very good place to go. They have a lot of nice tools in there. So, now you also wanted to tell me about your sci-fi convention. So tell me about that.
Yes, this is LostCon. LostCon 46. It's held at the
Wait a minute, LostCon 46? You've been doing this for 46 years?
Pretty much.
Holy cow!
And one of our first guests of honor way back when was Jerry Pournelle.
Oh my goodness! I love Jerry. I miss him deeply. Yeah, it's coming up on my birthday, November 29th through December 1st at the Marriott in Los Angeles at the hotel. If you want to know more, LostCon, LOSCON.org/46 It's Los Angeles' oldest running science fiction convention. And I know two of my favorites are going to be there, at least according to your mention in chat. Larry Niven's coming. I love Larry Niven, of course, co-writer of many of Jerry Pournelle's greatest books. And I frankly think Larry's Ringworld series is one of the best science fiction series there is.
It's terrific.
I just love Ringworld. So he'll be great. And then my good friend Brianna Wu, who's a game designer and running for Congress in Massachusetts. I don't know if she writes science fiction, but I know, like me, she reads it. So she'll be fun, too. That's great.
Yeah. Well, part of our programming track is devoted to women in STEM.
Perfect.
Perfect. And so she's coming for that.
She's great for that. And you know what? Get your son to come over and talk to Brianna. She'll know a little bit about profiling and tooling.
Oh,
as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll introduce them.
She's great at that. Hey, it's really a pleasure to meet you, Matthew. I'm glad you listened. Yeah, and thanks for doing LostCon. That's fantastic. What is your role there?
I'm chairing it.
Nice. Are you a sci-fi author yourself?
No, but I've been reading it for, since the 60s.
Yeah, me
and
too.
Going to conventions.
Me too.
For almost as long. Wow.
I think science fiction it's interesting. I think, we often talk about the legends of science fiction, not just Jerry Pournelle and Larry Niven, but Isaac Asimov and Ray Bradbury, and there's so many, Robert Heinlein. But I think there are people writing today who maybe aren't as well known, but are just as good. I love Peter F. Hamilton. Who do you like these days? Who's good? Who do you like reading?
Robert J. Sawyer. He's a terrific writer.
I don't know him. All right.
He's Canadian. Oh, he does great stuff. I think he might be the closest to Isaac Asimov that we have these days.
Asimov was
telling you that.
I bet he will. Asimov was a great thinker, of course, and a philosopher as much as a great writer. So his stuff has resonance even to this day. He wrote the I, Robot series. It's Asimov's rules of robotics that people quote all the time when they talk about keeping AI away from our loved ones. And so that's good. Robert Sawyer, I'll read some of his stuff. Nice.
Yeah, I recommend it. And our professional writer guest of honor this year, Howard Waldrop.
Oh, wow.
Some really great and crazy stuff.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate it. Nice to talk to you, Matthew. Keep up the good work. And tell your son, keep working hard. These days, if you can code, the world is your oyster. There's a few skills, technology skills, that are going to be in demand for some time to come. One is networking. Man, if you know how to run a network, you're golden. And, of course, coding in general, writing software. While machines will get better and better writing software themselves, somebody's got to write the software that writes the software. So knowing how to code is a great. And by the way, it's really fun. It's a good hobby, because I am not a professional by any means, and I haven't published any software in years, but I love doing it just for fun. It's better than crossword puzzles for me. I just keeps your mind moving. Yeah, no modern AI roboticist researcher thinks that Asimov's rules make any sense at all. They're not even internally consistent. So, but hey, it got us thinking, and I think that was important. Well, hi. Hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yes, indeedy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We've got your smartphones. We've got your smart watches. We got all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you want to talk high tech with me, I'd love to hear from you. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call toll free. You just have to use Skype out to do that. It shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to Jacksonville, Florida, and Gallant on the line. Hello, Gallant.
Leo, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Leo, I gave my girlfriend my old laptop, which had a Microsoft Works Words processor on it. How do I get that to my new laptop?
Do you have a serial number for it? I don't know if Works is still. I don't know how they haven't sold it since 2009. I don't know how they authenticate it. Did you have a serial number when you installed it?
I believe I do.
Yeah. So in that case, you should be able just to reinstall it and use the serial number to activate it. It's been.
So how do I get it? How do I get it from the old?
Oh, you don't have the discs.
No.
Little tricky moving programs from one computer to the other if you don't have the original installer, because of the way Windows programs often work, especially Microsoft. They don't just make a folder, in the programs and applications folder that says Microsoft Works and put everything in there. They may put libraries, DLLs, in other places on the hard drive. They may modify the registry. And all of those changes are kind of hard to figure out. There are uninstallers that do their best to figure that out. But, boy, that's been a long time since you installed that. If I were you, I would look at alternatives to Works, unless you're really tied to Works. As I said, it's more than 10 years since Microsoft has updated it.
Yeah. What did you have in mind?
Well, so you want free, I would go to something called LibreOffice, which is basically as complete and powerful as Works. In fact, because it's kept up to date, might even be more so these days. And it's absolutely free. It's a full Office suite. So it's not just a word processor. It's a spreadsheet. It's a PowerPoint, similar to PowerPoint and so forth. If you go to Libre, Libre, that's Spanish for free, I think is where that comes from. LibreOffice, OFFICE.org. It's a project, an open source project that was created to make the equivalent of Microsoft Office, but completely free. And I think in many respects it is now better than Microsoft Office. But even if it weren't, just the fact that it's free and open source and works great on Windows, on Mac, and on Linux. If you go to LibreOffice.org, you can download a copy of it, install it on your new computer, let your girlfriend keep Works. Maybe she'll like it, and you'll have something a little bit more modern. I think you should be very comfortable with it. The only difference between an Office suite and Works was nice because it was all in one program, right? So you could have a spreadsheet and a word processor in a single document. That's not quite as easy to do with modern Office suites. They kind of separate those programs out into different, packages. Yeah. But I think Libre is absolutely as good as Microsoft Office these days, and I recommend it for anybody who doesn't want to spend the money on Office. Now, the good news is Microsoft is making Office for the home fairly inexpensive. It's $8 a month, but still, that's $100 a year you don't have to spend. Try Libre, see if it does what you want.
Okay, Leo.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate it.
One quick question.
Yes,
Firefox or Chrome?
I like Firefox. Chrome might be more compatible with everything else because it is by far the dominant browser now. It is something like 60 or 70% of all users use Chrome. So when you go to a website, it's most likely to work best with Chrome. The only reason I like Firefox is because it has some privacy features Chrome lacks, and in my opinion will always lack, because Chrome comes from Google. And Google's an internet ad company as much as it is a search company, and so they're not going to cut off their nose to spite the face. So they're not going to do a lot of the privacy stuff that Firefox, which is not an internet ad company, was willing to do. So if you're concerned about privacy, take a look at Firefox. It's what I use. But honestly, Chrome for most people is probably the best choice. You might even look at, since you have a modern Windows machine, Microsoft has now decided that they're going to throw in the towel and they're going to stop doing Internet Explorer. They're going to stop doing their version of Edge based on that engine, and they're going to start using the Chromium engine, which is based on Google Chrome, and they're going to use that for Edge, their browser. So you'll get all the benefits of Chrome in the Microsoft Edge browser. That's another possible choice. It's not in release yet. It's still being tested. It's what they call beta test, but it's a public beta. So if you search for Edge Public Beta, BETA, you'll be able to find it and download it. And it'll work nicely on Windows. I think they call it, it's at Microsoft EdgeInsider.com.
Edge Insider?
Yeah, Edge, EDGE. That's their new browser. Do you have Windows 10 on your machine?
Yes.
Yeah. So you already have Edge on there, but the Edge that Windows 10 comes with currently is being replaced by a newer version that will be based on Chrome. So I think that's another place to look. And so if you want to try that ahead of its release, which is imminent, in the next couple of months, you can go to Microsoft Edge, EDGE, Insider.com and download it. That's a pretty darn good browser. They've done a nice job with that.
It's in the beta version now?
Yep.
Okay.
It'll be out soon. It's going to be, I think, part of their H2, what they would now call 2019 H2, which is the second half of 2019, which we're in, release of Windows 10. That'll be a big update coming in the next month or so.
Thanks for your input and have a safe weekend.
You too. Have a great weekend. I think it's nice to try open source software whenever you can. Support the open source community. These are really enthusiasts who are writing software, and they have a kind of a philosophy that I kind of agree with, which is software ought to be free. Not free as in free beer, but free as in liberated. It shouldn't be owned by any one company. It shouldn't be the opposite of open software is proprietary software owned by one company. It's not that I'm against profits. I'm not. I have to make a living like everybody else. I'm not against Microsoft. They have become a great company. In fact, in many ways, a great contributor to open source software. Chrome, the Chrome browser, is based on the open source Chromium software. Edge will be based on the open source Chromium software. So open source is a vital and exciting area of software. It's people who really love software doing stuff they love for the benefit of mankind. And in some areas, I think it's always best to use open source software. If you're looking for an encryption tool, for instance, open source software is the best way to do it because you can make sure that there's nothing in that code that was introduced by, a country or bad guys to steal your secrets. So I'm a big fan. Whenever you can try open source software, do. And it does happen to be, in this case, free as in free beer. LibreOffice doesn't cost anything. And try it, see if you like it. I think it's actually quite polished. It's quite good. The days of open source software being somewhat less polished than the commercial variants are gone. They're gone. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Website, techguylabs.com. I'll put links to all of those things I mentioned. Actually, I'm not going to do it. James DeRuvo will put links to all those things I just mentioned in our website. And it's free. There's no sign up. It's open. Free as in free beer. techguylabs.com. We're going to take a little tiny time out. Come back with more in just a bit. You stay right here. Oh, yeah, LibreOffice does open Works documents, too, by the way. That's a nice feature. Hey, Diggity!
Yo, how you doing,
It's
pal?
Wiz time. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good.
I'm going to do an ad right now.
Yep.
For
okay.
For this.
Oh, that's new. That's a good way to make money.
It's a birdhouse. Yeah, doing ads. What do you think?
I think you might be onto something.
I'm doing ads for birdhouses now.
I saw that. That's so cute.
It does kind of look like a birdhouse, but it's not. It's my Helm personal server, and I am a huge fan of the Helm. Helm. Well, I first got this. They were on the new screensavers. It's been about a year now. And I got it because they were selling it as a personal email server. They've solved all the problems with running your own email server. And at the time, I was starting to think, I don't want to live in Google's farm anymore. I want to have my own email where no one can read it or see what I'm doing. And Helm let me do that. I can have my own domain. In fact, you get multiple domains. It uses authentication with your smartphone to make sure that no one can steal your mail. It uses strong encryption. In fact, I love this. There's a little port on the top. It's encrypting everything on this device, and then I use the port. But you plug the key in, it records the recovery keys, and you put it in. Actually, I took it to work, so I don't have it where my server is. And that's really nice. The Helm's always backing up your email, but it's encrypted, so no one can read it, even the Helm folks. There's a great Intercept article. If you want to know more about the Helm, Micah Lee wrote it last spring. Just search the Intercept for Micah Lee and Helm. You can read that at theintercept.com. He did a great technical breakdown. I'm very impressed. I've actually talked to the guys, and I know what the servers they're using, and they're using IPsec encryption. They're doing all sorts of really smart stuff. One of the things I really like is they do something that's hard to do, and many email providers don't do. They're doing email authentication with DMARC, SPF, and DKIM. And that's really great because it means your email is going to go through more often because it's verified that it's you. Comes with 128 gigs of storage, plenty for email, but they also have lots of room for expansion with these Type-C connectors on the back. So he's got Ethernet or Wi-Fi, by the way. You can go up to 5 terabytes, and you might want to now that they also support Nextcloud. So Helm is more than just email now. It is a personal server that lets you store email, but also calendars, contacts, files, and photos using Nextcloud, which is an open source and really good solution. So dump Dropbox, dump Gmail, do it all yourself out of your house. Full disk encryption with keys managed in a secure enclave, a hardware enclave. Secure boot. TLS encryption with certificates for your domain, so you can use your own domain from Let's Encrypt. Proximity-based two-factor authentication through the Helm app. Encrypted offsite backups that are only accessible to you. It'd be a great email server for a small business, but it's good for my family. I use it as our family email. I just love knowing that my files, my photos, and my email are not available to anybody else, just me on my Helm server. Privacy is a right, not a setting, and if you agree, protect what matters with Helm. For a limited time, you can get $50 off the Helm personal server. Go to thehelm, TheHelm, thehelm.com/techguy. If you place your order right now, you can expect it in just a few weeks. They're catching up in production. This has been very popular, as you might imagine. Thehelm.com/techguy. I love my Helm server. You will too. Thehelm.com/techguy. And look, it looks kind of good. You could put it on your living room table. People say, what's that? Oh, that's nothing. Just my personal server. Easy to do, too. You don't have to be a guru to do it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, Ask Leo, the phone number. Charles, Colton, California is next. Hello, Charles.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could suggest some type of... I keep getting these sales calls. And...
robocalls. They're the nightmare.
Yes.
Yes. They're not even humans, right? Or do you get humans?
Well, sometimes humans, sometimes just, automated calls.
Yeah, I hate those. Those are the worst. The problem is it's very cheap for companies to do these robocalls. You don't even need a human. They just have automated software. Hello. You've just won a pass to Marriott Resorts in Aruba. Or whatever it is.
Right. It's a good poker place.
Yeah, it's so annoying. And because it's so cheap for them to do now because of digital technologies, it's basically the new spam. Remember how email just got useless because of all the spam you would get?
Yeah.
So there are attempts, and this will be handled. There are attempts being made to fix this problem. Who's your phone company?
AT&T.
So AT&T, along with Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint, but AT&T is definitely in the forefront of this, is working on a new technology with the very silly name of Shaken and Stir, and which sounds like a James Bond martini recipe, but is actually an authentication technology. So part of the problem is it's really easy to spoof phone numbers. So one thing you might have noticed with these calls that makes them even more annoying is they seem to come from your neighborhood.
Yeah, they often have the 1 in front of it as if it's long distance.
Yeah, well, if you see that, then you can definitely ignore it. But if it comes from your area code or even your exchange, you might think, oh, it's got maybe my kids broke down and they're calling with a friend's phone, or maybe it's a school, or who knows? So you almost feel like you have to pick up.
Right.
That's called neighbor spoofing. That is illegal. But the FCC has done precious little to stop it. They could, they should, but they haven't done much to stop it. And it's a little bit difficult because a lot of them are from overseas, so we don't even have jurisdiction. The phone system, it's so cheap to make a long-distance call now that there's nothing stopping people from all over the world from calling us.
Right.
Shaken and Stirred will help because it does authentication. It says, and by the way, both the originating carrier and the receiving carrier have to support it. So let's say you're getting a call from a carrier and the number is XYZ, they would authenticate it using shaken, and then AT&T would authenticate it saying stir, and they would say, oh yes, this call's coming from this carrier. This is actually a customer. It's a legit call. When that starts, and AT&T's already started to use that with some carriers, that's going to make a big difference. AT&T also has call filtering software, although there is third-party call filtering software as well. So you might want to look at that. None of it's free. There's a company called Nomo Robo, Nomorobo. But I think ultimately, the way Nomo Robo works is you have to, and this is why I don't do it. Besides the fact that you have to pay a fee, you have to forward your number through them. So the call goes to them first, because otherwise they can't block it, right? So the call goes to them first, and then they block it before they pass it along to you. I'm not sure I want to do that. So AT&T has something called Call Protect, which they offer, and I think this is probably better. Nomo Robo is using a list of bad numbers. Part of the problem with this is those numbers are made up all the time, so you can't really make a list of numbers to block, because the bad guys, the spammers, just use new numbers. Just the same way we've learned with spam, you can't trust the sending address because it's made up. So I would look at what AT&T already has. They have something called Call Protect. I think a lot of people are starting to offer this for free. I don't know if AT&T is yet. Verizon has a similar system. T-Mobile has a similar system. AT&T will also tell you to register with the Do Not Call registry, which I certainly would do, but that's not going to make much of a difference because most of these guys are unlawful to begin with, so they're not going to honor a national Do Not Call registry. But for the handful that do, the legitimate sales calls, that helps as well. You got to do all of these things. We'll put a link to AT&T's Call Protect feature in there. And if you wanted to try a third-party solution, Nomo Robo is very good. I used something out of Scandinavia for a long time called Truecaller. It's an app. But all of these apps are limited because they have to work off of a kind of list of bad numbers. And so, that's not going to work for very long. Truecaller is in your app store, iOS and Android, Truecaller. You can try it for free. It does have some spam blocking. I don't use any of these anymore because I didn't find they worked that well. What I basically do now is I just don't answer the phone.
Yeah, but when it rings, you're my age and you're used to...
Yeah, we're conditioned. It's Pavlov's dog. You start salivating. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I've just been conditioned the opposite way because I got so many robocalls. I finally just stopped answering. I figured if they're legit, they'll leave a message, and I'll call them back. What else are you going to do?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, it's really a nightmare. I think the last estimate I saw is more than half of cell phone users no longer answer more than half of their calls. I think in some areas it's 70% because of this. Right. And that's bad for the cell phone companies. It's why they're finally getting off their duffs and doing something about it. They're going to lose business. People are going to think they're not going to use the cell phone anymore.
Right.
It's no good for calling, so people text and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only thing is I can't type that fast on the cell phone.
Yeah, those of us of a certain generation still think of this as a phone, not a camera texting machine.
Right. And I was always happy just as long as I had a phone directory on it and I could call.
I know. It's a really, if you think about it, the cell phone's a great thing. I was watching a documentary on Woodstock last night, and of course, all those kids, the 400,000 kids who went to Woodstock, had no way to reach home. Nobody knew where they were or what was going on, if they were alive or well or sick. They were using pay phones, and there were 5 phones for 400,000 people. Nowadays, we're always in touch, and I think that's really changed society in some dramatic ways.
Yes, it has.
It's also led to a lot of people walking into the street while they're looking on their cell phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, Leo.
Hey, nice to talk to you. It's a great question. It's a problem everybody's suffering from right now. And ultimately, it has to come down, in my opinion, to the carriers. AT&T, T-Mobile, Sprint, Verizon, you've got to fix this. You've got to stop it. And they have the technology now. The FCC has been very slow to enforce any of these laws. They basically said, we'll let the phone company handle it. So now it's on you, phone companies. Fix it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, basically, and this has been a problem for a while, the FCC is a lobbying arm of the big telcos. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And you're part-time tech guy. I'm only here on the weekends. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Leo's on the line from Orange County. Hi, Leo. It's Leo.
Yes, Leo. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I agree with you on the Epson. I bought one a year and a half ago, and it's down about half.
Isn't that amazing?
On the other colors, it's barely touched it. So I'm happy.
Yep. They're a sponsor, I should mention. Little disclaimer. But, I try to pick my sponsors well.
Yeah. Well, I just ordered the bottle to have it.
Yeah, it's good to have, right? Exactly.
$8 for it.
Yeah. Isn't that they don't allow me to say, they don't want to get in trouble if I say it's less expensive, but it is. It is.
All right. My problem is I have an Acer Iconia tab.
Okay.
It's one of those tabs. My wife bought it for me for Christmas 6-7 years ago, and I haven't used it since I'm using my iPhone. I want to donate it to Salvation Army or something like that.
How nice.
And how do I did what it said to erase all my stuff, and it said it's all erased.
Good.
But that only flags it. It doesn't really erase it.
Nobody, it's hard. There's with a tablet, with a desktop computer, you can get some software and overwrite it and erase it and everything. But with an Android device, you just have to go into the system and reset it, and it'll do what you did, which it'll erase everything. But it does. You're exactly right. Obviously, you've used computers for some time now.
Well, I worked on them. I worked for IBM for 30 years.
Yeah, you know that it doesn't erase anything. It just marks it usable.
Yeah.
But there's not much you can do on a Android device. I don't know of any wiping software that would work on an Android device. So
just go with what they suggest.
Yeah, and I honestly don't think it's likely that anybody's going to kind of try to crack into what's on there.
I really don't have anything that secret on it.
The good news is
the thing I can do is take it out and smash the hard drive.
Yeah. You don't want to do that. It's got some value to somebody. The good news is when you do that reset, it does rewrite the operating system on top of it. So you, as you know, it doesn't release it doesn't overwrite the stuff, but by putting a new operating system on there, it is overwriting some of it. So, some of it is not recoverable. Let's just, it's hard. Somebody should write a boot and nuke for phones and for tablets. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Nobody, as far as I know, there's no such thing. And part of the reason is you can't, with Derek's boot and nuke, which we use on desktops, you can boot to a floppy disk and do it. But there's no way to boot to a floppy disk on a smartphone. So I guess we just have to live with it. I'll tell you what, on anything new you get, because the Iconia came out so long ago, it's running an older version of Android. But any new phone you get, iOS or Android, they'll be encrypted from the factory.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have to ever worry about this in future, because as soon as you erase the operating system and start over, those encryption keys are thrown out, and that's just gobbledygook on the hard drive. It's not recoverable at all. That's the secret from now on with any solid-state drive. Just make sure you have encryption turned on before you use it much.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you very much.
Nice to talk to you, Leo. Another long old-timer in the computer biz, like myself. Been doing this for a while, too. Ed in Irvine, California. Hello, Ed.
Hey, Leo. What can you recommend, like a Ring doorbell? It's not a Ring doorbell.
You don't want the Ring.
Screwed that up.
Why don't you want the Ring?
I've got one. It's a piece of trash.
All right. So I still have a Ring. I like my Ring. But I will tell you alternatives. But I'm just curious, what about the Ring is not working for you?
Okay, first of all, by the time I get logged in, if I can get logged in, whatever's there is gone.
Yeah. And
then the other thing is, they say it's two-way radio, but it's not duplex. So if there's any noise on the other end, the focus changes.
Yeah.
So you can't talk to anybody. And the audio sucks anyway.
So tell me how you really feel. So I'm not sure it would be better. The reason I asked you what you don't like about it is because maybe I can recommend something that will have, better specs in that area. Maybe not. But I would absolutely take a look at the Nest doorbell, the Hello. They call it Hello. Now, this is from Google. Amazon now owns Ring, so you've got the two behemoths facing off head-to-head. But a lot of people like the Nest Hello a lot. I've been thinking about replacing the Ring. But I think you're going to have the internet problems that you have, that is logging out and getting back on and having the Ring wake up. I don't know if that'll be better with any doorbell because they don't want to stay on all the time, so they have to kind of start up, and that sometimes takes a while.
And really what it needs to do is it needs to record 24/7 in the last 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and they don't do that for power reasons. They're getting power from the doorbell, but they still don't want to draw that much power. I think the Nest might be better. I think the Nest software might be better. The other concern people have about the Ring is that it's owned by Amazon, and it's this Ring Neighbor thing that they have where it tells you what's going on with your neighbors. And there are some people who have privacy concerns about that. That doesn't bother me particularly. Frankly, I think Google would probably have similar privacy issues as well, right? But, oh, wait a minute. Now, they're telling me the Nest does record 24/7, so that might be an improvement for you there. Take a look at the Nest Hello if you want to replace your Ring. There are other companies. There's a lot of other companies. There's Skybell. I think August. I can't remember if August makes a video doorbell. But there are a lot of video doorbells. This is a popular category ever since Ring kind of created it. Let me just look real quickly and see what the Wire Cutter says. Do you know about the Wire Cutter?
No.
That's a New York Times site that does, I think, they're, as far as I'm concerned, the consumer reports for the digital era. And I really trust their reviews. So let me just go and look at what the Wire Cutter says for video doorbells. The best smart doorbell camera. And they updated this July 26th. They say the Ring 2 is the best. So that's their favorite. They say if you want better security, around-the-clock video recording, and AI-powered motion detection and face recognition, which the Ring lacks, then upgrade to the Nest Hello. Oh, I see why they like the Ring. It's a little less expensive. It's about $50 less. The Nest Hello is $230 from Best Buy. They say Nest Hello is the slimmest and most advanced doorbell we've tested. All right. Sounds pretty good to me. I would get the Nest. Nest Hello.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome. Thanks for the call. I'm still on my Ring. I haven't yet found the reason to dump it. The privacy concern with Ring's Neighbor feature is that many law enforcement agencies are now being incentivized they get deals. Amazon's giving them deals for the Ring doorbell to promote it in their jurisdiction. And, it is good for law enforcement. You're putting cameras all over the neighborhood. But Ring does some weird things with the contract. For instance, they tell law enforcement, you can't tell anybody that you've got a deal with us. And we're going to give you a deal, free camera for every 10 you sell, thing like that. And there are a few people who think, should city government be involved in this kind of commercial promotion? I think law enforcement, a lot of local law enforcement agencies are doing it because, well, they like the idea of the better security. It is kind of nice I like having a doorbell camera. I know when packages have been left. I know if somebody rings my doorbell in the middle of the night. It's completely eliminated. What do they call that? Ring and dash? Ring and run? When the kids, Halloween come up, ring your doorbell and run away. I got them on camera. I can even say, hey, knock it off, you kids. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Everybody, disco. Time to dance. Do the hustle. What was your favorite dance, Dick DeBartolo, Mad Magazine's maddest writer?
Oh, I like the energy of all the stuff that the Village People did.
Oh, loved them.
Everybody.
Now, did you just shake your
tuchus?
tuchus
At weddings.
Did you just shake your tuchus, or would you do a dance? Like, did you do the hustle or the frug?
I did a little bit of everything.
A little everything? The whip?
Yeah. I don't want to be pinned down to. I did not have a patented disco move.
When they sang YMCA, I'm sure you did YMCA.
Yes.
That's so much fun. You're right. They still do it at weddings, don't they?
Absolutely.
So much fun.
Absolutely.
Dick DeBartolo is not only Mad's maddest writer, writing for Mad Magazine for more than 5 decades, he's also our personal gizmo wizard. We call him the Giz Wiz, and he joins us each week with a gadget or a gizmo, often spending my money.
Yeah.
Because I want it.
This is kind of fun. Now, I did not find this. I got an email from a viewer. He sent a little video that we used on the GizWiz a year ago.
Yes.
It is the high voltage junction box with LED illuminated frayed live wires.
This is for Halloween, obviously.
For Halloween. And I wanted one, Leo. But it was so close to Halloween when we showed it. The cheapest I could see it was $65. Well, now that Halloween is coming, it's back at Home Depot for $20.
I'm so surprised that Home Depot sells it because I feel like somebody might accidentally buy it thinking it's an actual high voltage junction box.
Well, if you're buying a high voltage junction box and you're paying $19, I don't.
You won't be surprised it has frayed cables.
Yes, I would think you would say.
I'm looking at the picture on your website, gizwiz.biz. It's got a big sign that says "Danger: High Voltage Testing in Progress."
And there's a little video down below too. It makes noise. The front door of it slams open and closed while it's inside. You see this sparking
I'm
wire.
so glad you wore a GizWiz hard hat to make this video.
Oh my!
By the way.
We do everything by the book here.
So if you want to see the video or just look at that looks very realistic.
It's I think for $20, it's really a very clever thing. And there are 2 ways to do it. There's a lever on the front.
God. Oh my God. Dick just flipped the lever on the front and it looked like you just hurt yourself. That's hysterical.
It's very funny. And probably you're like me, is we don't read instructions.
Right.
And so when I took it out of the box, there's this big on-off switch, and I flip it up to on, and nothing happens. And I'm thinking, how stupid is that? It comes with a little remote button, a wide remote, and I figured, well, I'll use the wide remote. And then fortunately, I saw a little slip in the bottom of the box, and it said, if you want to use the front lever, go to the back of the box.
Oh.
And there's a little switch to click it over to.
You have to switch it to lever mode.
It's a lever mode. And then it's really funny. It makes a lot of noise, like wires being fried.
Oh, I'm buying this for Halloween.
I thought you
put it by the door, and then when a trick-or-treater comes to the door and they press the Ring video doorbell, bzzz, that's awesome.
Yeah,
oh, my
very
gosh.
Clever.
Is that hysterical?
Very clever. It's on Amazon. It's a little more money on Amazon, but it's very, very clever.
Nice. And you're a very good actor because I really did think you electrocuted yourself.
Oh, I did. I said, Dennis, Leo's going to show this video. Just plug it in the wall.
Tase me when it happens, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty good. That's a really, really nice device. Again, if you want to, I'm trying to find, let me just play the video of you getting electrocuted so that people can. It makes a clonking sound too. That's good.
Yes,
that's
it's
very
the front
good.
door slamming, open and closed.
That's very realistic. Dick is the greatest. Gizwiz.biz. That's the address for the website if you want to go there. You can also play the What the Heck Is It contest. Ooh. We got a new contest, don't we?
Yes.
What was, I thought that was pretty obviously a lawn spike of some kind. Like a tent spike.
Yes.
From last
almost 100 people got it right. Yeah. So we picked 6. We picked 6 with the most accurate. It's an LED tent spike.
Oh.
And the little LED flashlight can aim up toward the tent.
Oh.
So that when you're coming back to your tent at night, you don't trip over any lines.
So it's a illuminated tent spike.
Yes, illuminated tent
spike. I wouldn't have known that. I mean, I could tell it was a tent spike, but I didn't know it was illuminated. All right, there you go. So that was last time. Now we've got a new What the Heck Is It contest. It'll go through the end of October, through Halloween. Okay, it looks like, well, I don't want to say what it looks like because it seems too obvious, but I better not. Here's the deal. You go to gizwiz.biz, click the What the Heck Is It contest button, and you can win a Mad magazine autographed by Dick. If you can either figure out what it is, they've got up to 6 Mads for the correct answer, or just come up with a cute wrong answer. They've got 12 autographed Mads for those people. Rules and the picture available at the website. Gizwiz.tv is the website for Dick's podcast. You know, we're getting ready for CES. I decided to go this year. Are you going to go again this year?
Great. Yo, yeah. January,
the Consumer Electronics Show. It is where Dick gets many of his crappy gadgets. And I was hoping I could hang with you a little bit. And,
if you want to go down the cellar.
Go down in the cellar. That's where he goes. He goes to the cellar at CES just to see, because that's where the people who can't afford booths in the upper stories, they go down where there's no light, no air, no windows, and that's where you find the best stuff.
Yeah. We definitely have to have a drink or
we'll hang out. Lisa's coming with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I was able to get a hotel room. I can't believe it. I waited till the last minute, but I was able to get a hotel room. So we're going to be staying next door, which is nice, always nice. But where is the junky stuff? Is it at the Sands or is it at the convention center?
It's at the Sands. It's at the Sands.
See, so a hotel's next to the convention center, but I still got to hike to get to the Sands.
But you know what? I am also staying there.
Oh, good.
Because I stayed there last year, and it is so convenient.
It's so nice to walk out the door and you're there.
Exactly.
No cab lines.
And then all the buses to the Sands and everything are right outside your door.
That's true. I could just take the bus.
Perfect.
All right.
You're going to love it. The Renaissance is amazing.
I had this crazy notion. Because, you know, in the past we have done varying degrees of coverage of the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yeah.
In fact, at one point we would get a booth and we'd spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've done the radio show from there. We'd have this big booth. We'd do shows. That was a little much. Then last year, we didn't do really anything. We just said, if you see anything good, Dick, send me a letter. So it was that was the other end of the spectrum. I think this year what I want to use is one of these new, maybe these new iPhones, because it's going to have really good video, or maybe a Pixel 4, and just not have a camera crew, not have a sound guy, just me, like you do. That's what you do, right?
No, absolutely.
Does Dennis go, or do you shoot yourself?
No,
you just do selfies. You do selfies.
He does not go. Sometimes I have a friend. Actually, at the booth, I'll just say, "Hey, this is great. Can someone here just shoot a video?"
You just ask them to do it. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. And at PepCom and all those events, Chad goes with Josh.
I might get like a selfie stick.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Just hold it out there and say, "Hey, I'm standing here at the booth with the thing. Look at that." I thought I'd do like 50 or 60 of those, just like the best stuff at CES. Does that sound wild?
Great. Yeah, I think it's great.
All right. I'm copying my hero here, Dick DeBartolo. Thank you, Dickie D. Normally we would do a show after the show today, but because I'm going to be recording ahead for our vacation, I'm going to keep the phone calls going for another hour or so. Do you want to stick around till after that?
I am. I'm going to do the people like Giz Fizz, so I will hang out.
PM. Thank you, Dickie D.
Yes. Okay, take care.
Thanks to the wonderful Heather Hummin, who made a triumphant return here to answer the phones. Thanks to Big Pee-wee on his last weeks. He's about to get promoted to the big time. Thanks to Laura, his replacement, for playing the music. Thanks to you for being here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.